If you have not already heard the news, the following may come as either a severe shock or an inescapable, maddening parade of questions. If the photographic evidence is to be believed, J.R. Bob Dobbs was brutally gunned down by one of his own early apostles on January 31st, 1984, while on stage at the Victoria Theatre in San Francisco. J.R. Bob Dobbs dead? Could the conspiracy end it all that easily? Why didn't you read about it in the newspaper, or even the National Enquirer? If the smoke from Bob's pipe is no longer rising to heaven, how can our planet still exist? Most subgeniuses steadfastly refuse to believe in the so-called assassination of Dobbs. Either it was a hoax, they feel, a ruse perpetrated by Dobbs himself to escape the con and or the bobbies, or else he was killed, possibly even more than once, but death didn't even slow him down. For the theory goes, he has since re-erected as a spirit entity, wielding more power over the conspiracy beast than he ever could as a mortal. Indeed, many saw the alleged murder as a triumph for Dobbs, an excuse for year-long debaucheries. Others are so faithless that they never really believed in Bob to begin with. They didn't have enough faith in humanity, in themselves, to believe there could be a Bob, much less that he could take 5 bullets to the brain and bounce right back into action. At any rate, no one has seen him since the ironically named Night of Slack, which was to climax the triumphant World Revival Crusade of '84. And despite what authorities say, a man who certainly looked like Dobbs was shot repeatedly in full view of 3 TV cameras and over 750 horrified, paying onlookers. The audience got their money's worth. The corpse was all too real, although it disappeared before the police could be convinced that the whole thing wasn't a typical subgenius revival stunt. A lone gunman was taken into custody, only to be released due to the absence of a body. The man was puzzling evidence, aka D. Woodman Atwell, before his name was legally changed. Long one of Dobbs' most trusted apostles, a popular radio personality who still appears on the weekly More Than an Hour Less Than a Show program on KPFA in Berkeley. Not just the smirking pigs in the conspiracy boardrooms, but even subgenii applauded him for his seemingly insane act. Musician David Byrne even paid homage to him in his True Stories album. However, others believe that Atwell was but a patsy, a dupe, and that the shots were fired by as many as 5 hidden gunmen. Bullet trajectory diagrams would tend to support this theory. See illustrations. But who arranged the shooting? The conspiracy? Which part? Or was it Dobbs himself? Where is the body? Whose body is it? The endless theories churned out by assassination buffs merely impede serious investigation. One group insists that Dobbs traveled back in time from some nightmare future fascist state run by bobbies in order to fire the bullets himself and prevent that possible future. Others insist that his wife Connie, Dobbs did it for the insurance money, or perhaps out of jealousy, after hearing the scandalous rumors of Dobbs' long-standing sexual affair with his own sister, Barbara. And ever since the assassination, Bobby Clenches have reported being approached by a cruel, degenerate man who exactly resembles Dobbs. This disturbing entity, who does all in his power to sow seeds of discontent among the ranks, would claim to be Dobbs, his own evil twin brother, Dick Dobbs. The anti-Bob? Or is it really Dobbs himself, testing our grasp of true slack and our devotion to the nameless mission? Is it all a grim exercise in Zen shock to prepare the faithful from the gimme bobs? We faithful must ask ourselves, not did Dobbs die, but can he die at all? As Pope Meyer of New York pointed out, Would a man as busy, as slippery, as lucky as Bob Dobbs even bother with a mere revival? The president of a giant company doesn't go to the sales meeting in Dubuque, Iowa. He sends the vice president. Would it not have been ridiculously simple for Dobbs to send one of his many android doubles? He has allowed expendable lookalikes to die in his place many times before. Have we, furthermore, the audacity to presume that Dobbs wouldn't realize the commercial value of martyrdom? History proves that any religion can get far more mileage out of a dead Messiah than a living one, as Dobbs cryptically told St. Tenderfilia Convenience in 1978. Death is the greatest PR agent. He may well still be with us, lurking in the wings, awaiting the perfect moment in which to resurrect with greatest visibility. In fact, for all we know, Bob Dobbs may already be world overlord. On the other hand, perhaps our worst fears will prove well-founded that Dobbs was shot, but lingers on in some conspiracy hospital as a drooling vegetable, kept breathing and smoking by a life support system. Whether or not Dobbs was actually killed, his very real disappearance was a near fatal blow to the church. The Subgenius Foundation almost closed down. There wasn't a stark fist for months. Worse, the church is now becoming crowded with pinks. Bobbies. Those pathetic malaligned normals who cling to the tar baby of Bob. These slack vampires would, if they had their way, turn this religion into everything it stands against, just as they've done to all the others. The church, after Bob, bears an unholy resemblance to early Christianity. Look at the big picture. A teacher arises from nowhere to preach a great message, and glows for a while as a beacon of slack to the oppressed, only to be slain by one of his own apostles. Then comes bitter power struggles between those who claim to have been closest to the Master, and finally, followers take over. What started as an anti-organization becomes a cult, a conformity of nonconformists. The Bobbies desire the same world as does the anti-Bob. A planet of Bobs. A planet of all-white, all-male salesmen buying and selling shoddy goods to and from each other for eternity. Already, subgenius conventions are degenerating into token rituals performed by pasty-faced teenage nerd boys. Friends, subgenius race is the master race only as long as it comes in all colors, all sexes, and all creeds. All subgenii are equal, but all are not equally funny. Half of us don't even get along with the others. Subgenii aren't meant to cluster. The clench concept that we should band in local groups was conspiracy thinking, and we hierarchs, by virtue of sacred erasability, now deny that doctrine. Our new duty, then, is to purge the unclean ones, lest they further cheapen and defile Bob's sweet name. They must be taught, at all costs, that Bob is not the answer, and neither is anything else. In the last 10 minutes before X Day, you may wake up to discover that the Bobbies have been selling you church air at the price of 1 soul per breath. And you're running out of soul. Hell, you'll discover, isn't someplace down below. Hell is life right here on earth without Bob. But we true apostles believe that Bob is stronger than the Bobbies. This church may be a joke, but it's the joke you can believe in. Myers Diatribe, 1714. And it will, someday, be the greatest joke ever told. But only if this planet Earth can make it to the punchline. Bob, the real Bob, must be there on X Day to greet the angelic host from space. Even if we have to mummify his corpse and prop him up like a grinning scarecrow. Even if the church does fall to the Bobbies, the real subgeniuses will simply disappear and come back later under a new name. Just as we have already been doing for thousands of years. We cannot assume anything. Dobbs may be what we would call dead. But when he returns, He'll know who believed and who didn't. When the saucers are screaming overhead and you're crawling through radioactive rubble with your fingers falling off, searching for flashlight batteries, your faith in Bob, or lack of it, will be all that you have left. Oh, you'll be moaning, I wish I'd read that book of the subgenius a bit more closely. I'd know what to do at a time like this. But your pathetic bleating will fall on deaf ears, friend. You cannot hide from Bob. The third coming is coming. Coming again and again. And this time, America, best be ready to swallow it. Beware, ye pinks, for this time Bob comes not as a gentle salesman, but as the avenging sword of Wotan. He comes to judge, to cleanse, to burn away the hate, burn away the false lack, burn away the fire, with the all-scouring, all-consuming, and all-purifying radiation of his divine and vengeful love. He'll be back any minute, and maybe this time you'll know who he is.